the day you saved my soul. You've been proving.
This is the
Hey guys, and welcome to the XFL Extra Point Podcast, Episode 6. Yep, we've gone 6 episodes of this. As usual, I am Justin. I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, say something so people know you exist.
Actually, I don't exist. I am only your imagination.
Oh, damn. Yeah. This has gone some like third eye shit. Today's episode is going to be news and notes as usual. We're going to be talking about the 3 new Tier 1 quarterbacks that were assigned to the teams this week. And we're going to have a little bit of a competition today. We're going to be picking our favorite supplemental draft picks, so we're calling it our supplemental draft pick favorites. Pretty much how it's going to work out. Yeah, I know, it's a catchy name, isn't it? How it's going to work out is we're going to take turns picking a player. We're going to end up with 5 players each. Then we're going to post a poll on Twitter, and you guys select who made the better picks. There's going to be lots of things that go into these picks. It could really be anything, just why they're your favorite. And this isn't necessarily talent, though that will influence, I'm sure, why you pick them. But it could be like, let's see, what's a good... You know, you could like their story, you could like their potential, just whatever reason they're one of your favorite picks from the thing. And we'll do 5. We can steal them from each other. It'll be a lot of fun, a little draft type deal.
Yes.
But anyway, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at XFL Extra Point. If you guys have any questions you want answered on the show, you can DM us there on Twitter, or you can hit us up on our email, extrapointcontact@gmail.com. Just send in questions there. But anyways, let's get into the news and notes. Here's
Let's
the
do
drop.
it.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
All right, our first story today. The XFL has announced that they'll be revealing the official football on Monday. This is a non-story, and I don't really care. But I'll bring it up because it's something. I think they're just teasing us. When are they revealing these fucking jerseys? Like, Jesus.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about the footballs is that I'm glad they're not the black and reds.
Ooh, see? Ooh, I see that you added a little note in here. So, anyway, on Saturday, the XFL released this teaser video and showed them making it, and it was, like, all fucking epic and shit. And, anyway, so they released this video, and you could see, like, some little stuff. There's some white going on there, just brown. Gonna be normal stuff. You can kind of see what looks to be like an X on the tip. And this isn't surprising because we've already pretty much seen the ball. So is this really a reveal? I mean,
Whatever.
In June, they were testing the balls with all the different leathers and shit. Mm-hmm. And so there was pictures of the balls, the little X's on the tips. I'm sure this picture I have here in the notes is I'm sure what the ball is going to literally look like.
Yeah. Well, hey, you got to take into account, too, just like us, they are desperate for content at this point because they got to stay relevant.
True.
So,
you know, I'm glad it's something like this and not some, like, ridiculous shit. Like, I was reading an article today. Mm-hmm. I was talking about if the XFL can work out or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you know, it's really good that they're not doing the kind of shit they did with the old 2001 XFL where they were just doing gimmicky shit to, like, get popularity. Like, if you can get people excited about footballs, I mean, I guess do it.
Yeah.
It's better than being like, we're going to go into the cheerleaders' locker rooms today.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'm glad it's hopefully just going to be a brown ball. And the reason for that is not just for taste, but also, and I'm sure this would be fixed and they would use a different dye, but in the prior iteration of the XFL, the black dye, that's my dog Squeaky Toy, if my mic picked that up, whatever.
Hi, Jones.
The black dye they used to dye the balls black, because that's what black dye does, made the balls slippery. And you can see how that's kind of a fucking problem when you have to catch the ball.
Right.
So,
yeah.
make it a brown ball.
I guess really the only announcement that's going to come out of this is how it feels and like the texture that it, because you can see in this picture there's like some different textures going on.
I hope they
here.
don't use that fucking kickball texture. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one I see here.
That makes it look like a children's toy. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm sure there's some like high level tech that they can get. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be pretty much a traditional football with the little X on the tip.
Yeah.
With the little blue. I mean, it looks cool. I mean, if you're gonna make it different, it's subtle. It's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, really kind of a non-story, but we're just waiting for the fucking jerseys. Like, stop announcing shit. They need to announce everything.
Let's drip feed, dog.
But anyway, with that, here's my transition to our next story. That was terrible transition. But jerseys, well, we're not getting an announcement for that, but apparently they're going to be announcing soon. I'm not sure when. They're going to be announcing a deal with Starter, the athletic brand, to do their kind of off-field stuff. So I guess it's like shirts and shit. Like
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of off-field.
The fucking Starter jackets from like the 90s. Give me
You about to
those.
sit and look up a picture of that?
I am. I'll put it in there. You need me typing away.
So via Front Office Sports, which is a website, they have sources that are telling them that the XFL is nearing a deal with Starter Athletic Apparel. The sports brand's expected to design and supply the off-the-field apparel for the XFL. Meanwhile, the XFL is still working out a deal for the on-field apparel, including but not limited to team uniforms. So Starter had previously made the actual uniforms, the jerseys and stuff for the AAF. And so, they made one of your favorite jerseys, Thomas.
They did. Well,
Those beautiful Birmingham Iron jerseys.
now I will say when your jersey is like 90% black, it's hard to mess up. But
Simple.
they look very
Simple.
good. Yes, they look great.
So anyway, I don't think this isn't an official announcement from the XFL that they're teaming up with Starter. This is sources are telling us rumor kind of deal, but
That'd be cool.
this is kind of such a non-story.
Yeah.
If this was the jerseys, I'd be like, all right, I'm a little skeptical. But you're just talking about off-field gear. Like, why would someone lie about this?
Well, I think also,
So-
I think this is kind of their announcement to be like, hey, or not announcement, but like you said, this is just rumors, but be like, oh, that Starter's making the uniforms. By the way, here's the uniforms. You know what I mean?
Oh, you think Starter's going to make the uniforms?
Yeah, they made it for the AAF.
Right, but don't you think they're kind of like, they were a little bit fucked by that?
Wait,
They're probably like,
who was fucked? The Starter?
Yeah,
They got their money. They were
Yeah.
fine.
but they didn't produce more jerseys because they shut down real quick. you
Yeah,
know,
but
like,
I mean,
didn't
they
get a
got their
steady
initial
income
money,
from it.
and I mean, the fact that they were willing to do it for the AAF, they're like, fuck it, let's do it again. I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
because it's not like they lost money. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So
That's true.
They got their money. They're fine.
So I guess it is a chance that Starter would be doing the jerseys as well.
I mean,
Which is
'cause
fine.
You got to think about. I don't think unless they do like an official partnership deal, like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour is not going to really.
You know who needs to make their fucking jerseys?
Who?
New Balance.
Oh, ew.
New Balance jerseys.
New Balance makes decent football cleats because they just have an N on them and they look very simple and nice. But
I like the Kawhis too.
the Kawhis are okay. And I mean, New Balance has their shirts are all right, but they're too expensive.
I like how it's almost become like there's a weekly segment of Jersey Talk. even though
Because
there's no
damn,
jerseys
bro.
yet.
Like
Because
once
we
the
want
jerseys
it.
come out, that's gonna be like a 3-hour podcast. It's gonna be like, this jersey is hot, and you'll be like, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I'll be like, well, you're wrong.
I'm gonna be like, this jersey is just red and white. How do you like this?
I'll be, delicious.
Anyway, the XFL is expected to announce its apparel and uniform and equipment partners in general over the next few weeks. We'll see if it all kind of comes at once or if it comes in spurts, but we'll see.
Ooh, spurts.
Anyway, moving on to our next Ooh, I almost said sturry. To our next story.
Our next stir, fella.
The XFL. This is kind of almost an anti-XFL kind of story, which I don't like to do too much, but it comes from PFT. It comes from, I think, Mike Florio, and Mike Florio hates
The Browns.
the
Yes, he
XFL a
hates
lot.
the Browns. You're right. He despises them and hates them. But he also.
Who'd you say? The Browns?
Yeah, Mike Florio hates the Browns, but that's beside the point.
He's a Vikings fan,
I hate Mike
but
Florio.
he's like one of those Vikings fans
I
who's
don't
like
hate Mike Florio.
also hates us. So
I think Mike
I don't
Florio
know.
is just negative in general. Maybe that's why I don't
Yeah.
like him. Even though I
listen to his show all the time.
I don't listen to much.
because I consume a lot of football media.
Yes.
But anyway, so according to Pro Football Talk, a standard XFL player contract. God damn it, Thomas, your little fucking cursor getting in my way.
What? Oh.
A standard XFL player contract has been prepared and distributed to agents with clear indications on the document, like confidential and do not circulate, which obviously didn't stop anyone from sharing it.
Shit.
Oh my God, Thomas.
There we go. I didn't mean to do that. My fault.
Tom's just fucking up with my notes right now. Oh man, where was I? The contract
yeah.
explains clearly There's a weekly salary of $1,040 per week with an anticipated gross amount of $27,000. It also promises 1,600. I'm bad with numbers, just so you know, so you should be really proud of me that I'm not fucking these up. Anytime it's like thousands, I always say like 100 and oh god. 1,685 payment for each game played and 2,222 for each win. This is all stuff we kind of already knew. It was kind of already out there.
Yep.
In the last round of everyone getting mad at the XFL for the contracts. It also includes stuff we assumed, like players will be permitted to leave for the NFL, but only after the end of the team season.
That makes
and
sense.
the XFL championship game will be played on April 26th, one day after the NFL draft concludes. I don't know if that's a negative per se, but to be realistic, based on that wording, we can assume that players who are on teams that are eliminated before the championship game will be able to leave as soon as the season's over. So, like, if you get eliminated before the playoffs, then you can just leave right then and there.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems because it just says whenever their team. Where was I? But after the end of his team's season. So, not saying the whole XFL season when his team season's over.
Yeah.
But that's all kind of stuff we assumed already. Here's the kicker, right? So there's something I strongly disagree with, but it may not be as bad as it sounds. The wording's a little ambiguous, and how PFT presented it was very ambiguous.
Yeah.
And it said, players get no royalties for merchandise sold by XFL, including presumably jerseys and other items bearing their names.
Yeah.
Strong word there is presumably.
Yes.
Right? So it might have said, players get no royalties for merchandise sold by XFL, which could be like the footballs and shit. So, of course, they wouldn't get any money for that.
Do NFL players get royalties for that?
For the jerseys?
Yeah.
For jersey sales? I would assume so.
Well,
I think so.
double check.
I might be wrong.
Because I don't.
But, I mean, it's such a small league like this. Like, really, you
I just
should
feel like
be.
they don't.
But in the NFL, I don't know. You fact-checked me on that, and I'll continue to say stuff.
All right. You say stuff while I look at stuff.
So, anyway, presumably is what they said. So if it comes out they can receive royalties from their names and likeness, I have like no issue with this contract. It's all kind of stuff we already knew. Wasn't any breaking news. I guess the biggest thing is the non-negotiable part, which probably is the factor, and they mentioned this a lot in that PFT article, was the unions not being a thing.
Yep.
Yes, and probably won't be a thing unless this league sticks around for like 3 or more years.
Yep.
And once they're unionized, it's going to be negotiable. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah. NFL players do get royalties, by the way. So.
See, I thought so.
Yes.
I thought
no,
so.
I don't know why I didn't think they did. That's just me.
But anyway, so if the XFL doesn't give them royalties for these jerseys, it's a big fuck you, especially with how little money they're already making.
Yeah.
Like they should be getting some. If someone wants to buy a damn XFL jersey with, who's a guy in the XFL, Rashard Davis's name on the back.
Yeah.
Rashard Davis should be getting a check for that.
Now,
It's just,
the only caveat here is, if I'm correct, see, there's a lot of things where I'm saying things I don't know if they're true. Like initially, the old iteration of the XFL just put out like number 1 jerseys, and they would just be like the team as opposed to
hope it's
the
not like that.
players. So, and I think that was actually to avoid paying them royalties. So I think maybe they'll either go that route this time again, or I don't know. Again, all this is presumed and not confirmed.
Speculation.
Yes. So
right.
we do not know for sure.
Right. But, well, always, every time you say, like, oh, the old XFL did this, so I'd assume they do it again. I'm always like, yeah, but they're trying to distance themselves so much from that.
I don't know if they're trying. Well, they're trying to distance themselves from the. The NFL's a bunch of pussies. They're trying to, like, they're 180ing that and saying back to real football. I'm Vince McMahon, and it's just like stuff like that. So I don't think they're really distancing themselves from the business model per se, but they're distancing themselves from the of the old XFL, if that makes sense.
I would hope that those in charge, the business at the XFL, are smart enough that knowing their players happy is gonna. You want to make your players happy because that makes more players want to come play for your league that's not the NFL. Because people have a choice whether to go play in the XFL or not.
It all comes back down to how much money the league makes, and if it's successful and it makes enough money, then it'll improve, and not conditions for the players, but benefits for the players will improve. If it doesn't, then it'll stay the same or get worse and fold. That's just how it goes.
So, to be clear,
Yes.
you don't think it's a problem if they weren't getting paid for their likenesses and their jerseys and stuff.
I think they should get paid for it, but right now I don't think they should expect that. Especially with the amount of players like that are hopefully going to be going to the next level of professional football after this season. Like,
Right.
I get it. So,
What about the non-negotiable part? How do you feel about that?
I mean, that sucks. And we kind of went over the contracts already, that the money sucks, because it
Right.
does. Hopefully that gets better if the league gets more successful, but I doubt it will. But that sucks. I mean, that's not great. It's not really a good look to call them non-negotiable contracts. But
Right.
also, I kind of understand from the XFL standpoint why they're doing that, because it's like, look, dog, this is what you're getting. And, like, if you
Yeah,
don't like
okay.
it, then bye. Because we got more players
Fair
at
enough.
this point, so.
Fair enough. All right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's all our news for today. A non-story, a sort of non-story, and then a kind of controversial story. So
Mm-hmm.
we're giving you a little bit of everything.
Yep.
But anyway, we're going to move on to our first kind of actual topic. And that's just going to be like we just want to talk quickly about these 3 new quarterbacks that were assigned. So on Friday morning, I woke up early so I could, I should speak on this. I woke up early to be like, all right, I'm going to watch this draft, or I'm going to like keep up with it however they keep up with it. And they're like, yeah, we're going to wait till it's done to announce all the shit. So,
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, well, I guess there was no point of me. I say waking up early. Things started at 11, so I really was waking up early, but
Just expose yourself.
I wake up early kind of nowadays, especially today. I woke up really early.
Yeah.
I woke up in time so I could get these notes done because I had shit to do today.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, the new quarterbacks. They announced them before the draft.
Yes.
There's 3 new Tier 1 quarterbacks. Josh Johnson, who played with... I don't know who he played with last. Who was he playing for last? I know he's played with so many teams.
He's been on a lot of teams. I have in my notes he's the most journeyman that ever journeymaned.
Right, yeah.
But he's
Yeah,
been
for
on he's been on the Redskins. He's been on, I think he was most recently on the Lions. I could be wrong, but I think that was where he was most recently.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I like Josh Johnson a lot though.
Yeah. He went to the LA Wildcats, and it was the other 2, Taylor Heineke. He was formerly a Viking.
Yep.
He went to the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yep.
And then Chase Liddon went to the Seattle Dragons. So we'll talk about him briefly. You kind of already said something about Josh Johnson, but yeah, journeyman. Like,
Journeyman.
That's what he was. That's what
Solid everywhere. Yeah, like when he was a starter for the Redskins for a couple games, and I think didn't play amazing, but journeyman. He's solid.
So he's been a member of 13 different NFL teams.
Yeah, he's been around
Weird fact
town.
I saw on Wikipedia. He did not win. So he's been in the league since 2008. He did not win his first game as a starter until his 11th season as a member of the Redskins in 2018.
That's rough.
That's crazy.
That's rough.
11 seasons that'll win as a starter.
That is
Granted,
rough.
how much starting opportunity to get,
Yeah, that's true.
but as far as like he's prototypical scrambler guy. He used an option stuff, which is kind of crazy because he's 33,
Yeah,
but he can still run.
he's an athlete, man.
He throws a bit of a floaty ball for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, doesn't have a
his-
ton of zip on his pass.
his main strengths would be the short game and just kind of
Running it.
yeah. He's never really going to uncork anything. He's a West Coast offense type guy.
Yeah, what I said, he sits in a weird place for me because like he's prototypical scrambler, but when you see a scrambler, usually it's like the guy scrambles and then he throws a long bomb, and that's like all he does.
Yeah,
He chucks it hella far down the field or he runs. This guy is like a game manager, but also a scrambler.
yeah. I have
And-
here that also he's a preseason hero. He does a lot of cool shit in the preseason. So
Right. Yeah, he hasn't got a ton of chances to start. But he's been good enough to be a backup on a ton of teams. So
yes,
he's been around 13 different teams. Thought he was good enough to be their backup.
Yep.
That's experience you're not getting from any of these other quarterbacks.
and
so.
I mean that means something to have 13 different teams. I don't know if it was 13 different coaching staffs, but 13 different teams be like, hey, like let's get this guy in here and see what he's got, or at least have him in there as a presence. So
Right, and here's the thing with Josh Johnson that I think is interesting is that being on the LA Wildcats, that means he's competing with Luis Perez.
Luis.
And Luis Perez is a guy I like a lot.
Me too.
I like a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's like, out of any team that needed Josh Johnson, I didn't think it was the LA Wildcats.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two of probably the best quarterbacks available here in the XFL on the same team.
That's correct.
It scares me. Who do you think's going to start? Just
I still think
initial opinions.
I still think it'll be Luis, but I think Josh will definitely push him to be better in training camp, and I don't know. I mean, it could be Josh, I suppose, but I still think it's going to be my guy, Luis. I think Luis brings more to the table as a playmaker. So that's me.
My thing with this whole situation is I would rather start Luis Perez if I was the LA Wildcats.
Mm-hmm.
But who's going to start? It's going to be Josh Johnson, I feel like.
Maybe.
You're 33 years old. Mm-hmm. Been on 13 different NFL teams. You really going to come to the XFL to be a backup?
Yeah, maybe.
You could be a backup in the NFL.
Could he?
You know? So it seems like he's probably going to get the starting job. I just feel like he's too big of a name not to. He's probably now the biggest name next to Cardale Jones in terms of quarterbacks in the XFL.
Yeah, you wouldn't be necessarily wrong with that. I agree with that.
All right. Well, anything else to say on Josh Johnson?
Nope.
No. All right.
Nope. I like him a lot.
We're gonna move on to Taylor Heineke, St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah.
So, 26-year-old guy. He was a Minnesota Vikings quarterback. Not really up Minnesota, like he never played. But in college, he was in the Conference USA, which brings up its own issues.
Yes.
Not playing great talent there.
Yes.
But when he was there, arguably best quarterback there at that time. I think he won some award for FCS, best offensive player or something like that.
Yes.
My problem with him is he has a noodle for an arm.
Yes, I have that too.
Just an absolute noodle.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys have absolute cannons. He has an absolute noodle. Not great at reading defenses. Can't fit balls into windows. And a game manager who has to be a game manager. Can't improvise in any way. Not a fan.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike him, but he doesn't wow me with anything. As you said, he has a noodle arm. He doesn't really have any wow plays because he doesn't have the arm to get it anywhere. He's
incapable.
Yeah. He can run, but you shouldn't rely on him as a runner. He's not a scrambler, but he can run. He has decent pocket presence, and he will take a hit to deliver a ball, so that's good. But I mean, that's really my only positives for him. He did start for the Panthers in one game and had 1 touchdown and 3 picks, I believe. But noodle arm, no wow plays,
not impressed.
good pocket presence. We'll see what happens. I don't think he's going to beat out my boy Jordan Tamu, but we shall see.
I don't think so either. I mean, I guess a fine backup option.
Yes.
If anything happens to Tamu,
yes,
you throw him in, scheme it up so that he makes the easiest throw possible.
Scheme it up.
And just hope you win that game.
Yes.
But he's not going to win you a game.
Yes.
Just hope you can hold on.
Yes.
So there you go. Taylor Heineke, not a fan. You're not a fan.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
Probably in my eyes, not a tier 1 quarterback. But can you call these guys tier 1 quarterbacks? I mean, I feel like Josh Johnson
they're assigned quarterbacks.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, we're going to move on off of Taylor Heineke to Chase Liddon, who is now a quarterback for the Seattle Dragons, competing with your boy Brandon Silvers.
With my boy Brandon Silvers.
So Chase Liddon was undrafted in 2018. He played at Marshall. He's kind of a weird character. And by a weird character, I mean he's kind of a dick, apparently.
Okay.
From what I read.
Yes.
He had a lot of run-ins with law enforcement. He was where? Okay, I don't have it written down here what exactly he did.
You have to take into account most of this stuff happened in high school. So
okay, but he's only 24.
Yeah, but I mean
that's
what I'm saying. But people grow up, you know what I mean, in a short amount of time. So I don't really count things that happen in high school unless it's like murder or anything like that. Like seriously, because whatever, kids are stupid.
Right. So anyway, he's a huge, confident dude, gigantic arm.
Yes.
He has an aggressive mentality. It can lead to mistakes. Mm-hmm. He has that gunslinger mentality. Mm-hmm. He will just chuck balls up, but the arm talent is plus. That arm strength plus. I mean,
yeah.
The arm strength's all there, and all the talent's there, and this leads me back to my other thing. Talent probably wasn't the reason he's not in the NFL, but I don't know for sure.
So he's 6'6", 235. He's big old boy. So for me to distinguish between gunslingers, like good gunslingers and bad gunslingers, there's being called a gunslinger, which is good, and there's being called a YOLO thrower, which is bad. And Chase Litton, to me, is a YOLO thrower. He's just like, fuck it, see what happens. And it worked for him sometimes, and it didn't work for him other times, because that's the nature of it. So to me, he can throw the ball 500 yards, but it's he's just not very really all that accurate, especially in the short and intermediate game. He has Brandon Whedon syndrome, which is where you have zero touch whatsoever. So you're throwing your quick slants at the same speed as you're throwing your 90-yard bombs. So it's just like, fuck, it's coming at you. But yeah, that's Chase Litton.
Yeah, gigantic arm, a good development guy. If the personality stuff isn't an issue, awesome development guy.
Yeah, maybe he is a dick, but I mean, whatever.
I'm not gonna go into it deeply. Yeah. But some of the stuff, because I just remember. Yeah,
I read it too. It's not it's not great, but I mean, like I said, kids are stupid when they're kids, and people can get better. So.
Right. Okay. Well, that's gonna be our tier 1, our new quarterbacks. It's gonna be a little discussion on the new quarterbacks. We like Josh Johnson. The verdict's out on Chase Litton.
Yep.
And we don't like Taylor Heineke.
Nope.
That's kind of what it's going to be. So, anyway, we're going to move on to our big chunk of today's episode. It's going to be what I talked about earlier. I'm not going to go over it again because it was a lot to say. But anyway, we're going to flip a coin here. Let me pull up something that flips a coin.
All right.
And we're going to see who goes first on this little draft of ours. We're going to pick our 5 favorite players from this draft. We have a chance to steal each other's picks.
So since you're
extra picks just in case.
Okay, so since you're flipping it, do I call it or do you call it?
Yes, but let me pull it up first. But you call it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, call it.
Tails never fails.
It was Tails.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's right.
Damn it. All right, so you go first. Who's your first guy?
So the
number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick.
Supplemental draft favorites draft.
The XFL supplemental draft of supplemental players I was selected in the supplemental draft is Jazz Ferguson.
Oh, okay.
Who is a wide receiver out of Northwestern State by the Dallas Renegades.
I fucking hate you.
Was that your guy?
This was my guy. Damn it.
I
this
knew
was
it.
my favorite guy, too.
I knew it. I'm the best.
No.
I'm the best.
This was my favorite guy.
I was between him and somebody else, and I was like, well, the other guy is definitely not going to be high on Justin's radar, so I'm definitely going to go this guy.
Damn it, son.
Yes.
Damn it, son. This is my favorite guy, too.
So
all right, talk him up.
Talk him up. So, this guy's an athlete. He's big body receiver. He's he's a straight line athlete. He can move fast in a straight line. Is what I mean by that. He's a contested catcher, which means he'll go up and catch it over you. A lot of his film, he has a lot of alpha dog mentality in him, where if a ball's coming up to him and he's got to go get it, he'll go get it, and he will spit on you while he's getting it. I like Jazz Ferguson a lot. Some negatives is he did go to Northwestern State, which is a lower tier school. Right. Therefore, his technique is not as well coached and really not pro ready. He was originally attended LSU, but had to transfer due to academic reasons. So it's not necessarily a negative, but at the same time, it's he was at a D1 school and had to leave. So it's that. But super athlete, 50-50 god, and really was only cut by the Seahawks because they had 40 receivers that were more polished than he is. So I like Jazz Ferguson.
Damn you, Thomas.
I knew it.
Damn you, Thomas.
I knew it.
So I had him at 3 because I was like, he's not going to pick him, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was going to put my 2 bigger name guys first, and then I was going to get to him. Mm-hmm. But really, this guy is officially my favorite wide receiver in the XFL.
Yeah.
Just based on his tape. He is fantastic. Mm-hmm. He has, Mike Evans type size.
Yep.
Literally almost pinpoint. He's gigantic, huge arms.
Mike Evans.
He is Mike Evans just in terms of size.
Yep.
And he has, a knack for getting contested balls. He's not the best route runner, but he's so good at positioning. He's so good at tracking balls in the air. He played at a smaller school, but even when he would play, he played Texas A&M, and he had a good game against Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, with his size comes this knowledge of how to use the size.
Yep.
And it's just route running and little stuff needs work, but that can be all coached up. I think this guy is a freak, probably going to end up back in the NFL. This is my favorite wide receiver, and I shouldn't have hyped him up that much because you might win this just because of that. So now we're going to my pick. I'm going to feel like I got to change my strategy here because how I did it was I was going to put I put the two big name guys up front because I thought you'd just pick them just based on name value. Mm-hmm. And so I put them up front because I was scared you would take them.
Can't draft scared. That's rule number 1 of GM school.
Right. And so you got the first pick anyway, so it's not like I would have had a chance to get you as Ferguson. By far my favorite guy on my list. But I'm going to go with who I had at 1 anyway. And that's going to be Terrence Williams, wide receiver for the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Cool.
All right. So we all know, for the most part, I feel like a lot of people know who Terrence Williams is. He's by far the biggest name out of this supplemental draft, right?
Yeah.
So he was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in the 3rd round in 2013. Came out of Baylor. Was fine. First team All-American, All Big 12 selection. He was good at Baylor. Played for 6 seasons with the Cowboys. There was, lots of people saw a lot of potential in this guy. This is a guy who's probably going to be on the Dallas Cowboys for a long time. Then he got injured. Then he got suspended. And it just, his time in Dallas just kind of came to an end. They didn't pick up his option. So that's why he's not.
He had a lot of LOL plays in Dallas as well.
Yeah. So, breakdown. He's good size. Definitely good speed for his size. Ton of NFL experience. And he was productive in the NFL. He was an NFL wide receiver, through and through. I'm surprised he didn't find his way onto another NFL team. He was good. He was good in Dallas. There was a time where I thought he was better than Des Bryant in Dallas.
Well, that's interesting.
No, because Des Bryant fell off towards the end of his career.
Fair.
So that's when I was like, wow, he's better than Des Bryant right now. He seems like a better option. Terrence Williams is a very good wide receiver. Yeah. Now, he's an older guy. He's 30. In terms of just, his actual abilities, he's a great blocker, powerful blocker. I think he was one of the better blocking wide receivers when he was in the NFL. He's a good blocker. So that's a benefit, especially for the Battlehawks. You want to get a solid run game going, as I've explained many times in the XFL. That'll be the key to victory, especially with that faster pace. He's good at a select number of routes. Doesn't have an amazing route tree or anything. He's not a guy I'd ever play in the slot. He's purely an outside receiver, pure, true and true outside receiver. But he has good body control, very quick feet, very good footwork. He's effective on comebacks, fades, that kind of stuff. His hands are okay. A bit of a body catcher at times. Not his strong suit. Yeah. But I think he's just overall great outside option. He's probably going to be one of Jordan Ta'amu's favorite targets. So that's the guy I had number 1. Biggest name, most experience, NFL talent who's in the XFL.
Yeah.
And you're not going to say you're not going to shit on my pick?
No, you covered everything I want to cover. I mean, Terrence Williams was an NFL caliber receiver. I'm surprised that he went this route instead of just latching on to another team, but whatever.
So, okay, you're not going to shit on my pick.
I agree with everything you said.
So you see, I'm winning this.
Sure.
All right, your next pick. Let's see. Let's hope it's not one of my guys again.
So my next pick will be Dorian Johnson,
okay, I'm safe.
who is an offensive lineman out of Pitt, and he was drafted to the DC Defenders.
Okay.
So Dorian Johnson was a guy who I was like, that he's for sure going to be a starter in the NFL, just because Pitt has some good offensive linemen that come out, and he's really good. He has a great athlete for the position. His technique is pretty good. And he's like the prototypical build for a guard. So I really don't know why he didn't work out in the NFL. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's something that I don't know about. But he's good, and I think he'll be quite good in the XFL. But that's just me.
So you're telling me you picked an offensive lineman as one of your best players.
The game's one of the trenches, big fella.
guaranteed, confirmed, Justin wins the draft.
I mean, perhaps to casual fans.
Okay, well that's your pick. That's your. He was good, and he was good. You like him? That's your pitch. I'm running away with this shit, Thomas.
There's not really much to say about him, besides his technique's good. He's a prototypical for a guard. He's a good athlete for the position.
Okay.
His hand placement can be a little iffy, if you want me to get in detail. Maybe that's what ended his NFL. Not ended. It could still go on, but paused his NFL career. But yeah, he's a thing that I thought was for sure going to be a starter, and he ended up being out of the league. So.
See, I don't want you to go into detail, because the less you go into detail, the more likely I am to win this poll at the end of this.
Oh, mind games.
All right, well, my next pick, another wide receiver to add, the flashiest position in football, and another big name, another one of the biggest names out of this draft, Eli Rogers, wide receiver for the DC Defenders. Yep.
Wow.
So, never really a guy who led in Louisville. Like, he wasn't their best receiver there. He was signed by the Steelers. He went undrafted. But he showed flashes with the Steelers. He had a game over 100 yards. Might have had several games over 100 yards. I know for sure he at least had one game over 100 yards. He put up some touchdowns. But the problem was with the Steelers is their wide receiver room was always so crowded. Like, they had a ton of guys, and even one of them's in the XFL now with him on the DC Defenders, DeMarcus Ayers.
Yes.
It was a crowded wide receiver room. So it was hard for him, but he was able to get in at like the fifth wide receiver his first year, and then the fourth wide receiver. Like, he has the talent to be on an NFL roster, I feel. He's a quick, shifty guy. You know, he's not like long distance speed. He didn't, time super well for his size, being 5'10", 187. He's not super fast, but he is quick. With his small size does come issues, playing the ball in the air, not a strong suit, not someone you want to be throwing contested ball to. But I think he does have, a good ability to find, soft zones and coverages. He has just an intangible ability to make plays. And that's what stuck him around in the NFL for as long as he did. It wasn't a super long time, but he was able to stay. It was a crowded Steelers wide receiver room. But what I really like about Rodgers, and to quote Thomas on this, I feel like he's a dude. He's
a dude.
He's tough. He's willing to make tough catches over the middle. He's willing to get hit to get his yardage. I think he has great effort with above average quickness, and he can do it at the next level. We've seen it be done at the next level in the NFL. So I think he could become the number one option for Cardale Jones in DC. It's very possible, especially when a lot of their guys are gadget guys they brought, and he is a true wide receiver. This is a guy I think can quickly become a favorite for Cardale Jones.
Yep.
So shit on me, because you know a lot about Eli Rogers. Why is that pick bad?
Again, I don't think it's really that bad. I mean, like you said, he's proven he can succeed in the NFL. He's a solid all-around receiver. I think at this level he'll succeed a lot.
Thank you.
I mean, I really have nothing bad to say about Eli Rogers.
Another point for Justin. All right, your next pick.
Okay.
Your next pick.
Next pick for me is, I'm going to butcher this name, but Godwin Igwebuike, or God, I feel bad. Godwin Igwebuike. I'm going to say it's Igwebuike. He's a safety out of Northwestern and was drafted by the Seattle Dragons.
Okay.
So in college, he was an absolute ball hawk. He's the rare combination of he's a good athlete and he can tackle. Most good athletes that play at safety are horrendous tacklers, but he is a very good tackler. He can bring you down. The problem with Mr. Godwin is his processing is a little slower than you like to see, and his angles are pretty horrific. That's evident when he played for the Bucks. The angles he would take just to get to spots would effectively, basically add on another 5-8 yards to a play because they were so bad. Which that can be fixed with coaching, but it's just because he's an athlete and he can already tackle. So that's my pick.
Okay. A safety. You want a lot of defensive guys besides my guy, Jazz Ferguson.
This is the first defensive guy I've picked.
Well, who wasn't the last guy? Oh, no, you picked an offensive lineman. I forgot. You're terrible offensive lineman. I just knew it was just not flashy.
Yeah, so awful,
can I shit talk that pick in any way? His name's hard to say.
His name is hard to say. It's hard to say. Probably wouldn't be hard to say if we were well versed in African culture, but we are not.
I'm gonna say it's Igwabuke.
Igwabuke, sure.
Okay. All right, moving on to my next pick.
Right.
It would have been Jazz Ferguson.
Yep.
You know, I'll put that out there. It would have been Jazz Ferguson here, but you picked him
right.
first. Oh my God,
That's
I
right.
did not expect that. All right,
Swerve.
so for my third pick is gonna be a safety. Yeah,
Better not.
a safety
You better not pick the one I think you're gonna pick.
for the Tampa Bay Vipers
Oh, you bitch.
from the University of Texas, PJ Locke third.
You bitch.
So, Locke went undrafted out of the University of Texas in 2019 before he signed with the Steelers. In college, he was a team captain after his junior season. While he was there, he was able to rack up 160 total tackles, 3 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles. What I like about this guy, and what you're going to find, I like with a lot of these guys I picked, is how aggressive they are. He's just the most aggressive dude. You know, despite, you know, he's not huge, 5'10", 203, but he still has that. He's solidly earned this label of a hard hitter. When I watch this guy pursue a runner, he's like a missile. I mean, there was one highlight play I saw from him where this dude flew, I swear, like 5 yards and just rocked this motherfucker. The ball went flying out. I mean, this guy is hard hitting as they come. Of course, with the hard hitting style comes some lack of technique when it comes to tackling. But hopefully, you know,
Of course.
they'll coach that up a little bit, hopefully, in the XFL. Young dude, 22, lots of room to grow. He's a versatile DB. He can play safety. He can play nickel corner. Great athlete, great speed, great body control. I just love aggressive guys. It's really what made me like him. When I saw his highlights, immediately I was like, this motherfucker's aggressive and scary. And this is always the kind of safety I've liked. It's just a big hitting safety. So lots of untapped potential there. Could end up being a playmaker in this league. I'm hyped about PJ Locke, the third,
All right.
out of the University of Texas, playing for my second team, the Tampa Bay Vipers.
All right. Well, PJ Locke would be my next pick.
Yes. Hell yeah.
So I like him a lot too. As you said, he's a hard hitter. He is a plus athlete. Some negatives I have for him are he doesn't really have a true position. I mean, he'll play safety in the XFL, but there are some. Even though he, like you said, he is a big hitter, he is a little smaller. And while that may not really affect him as much as it may seem like it would, that's still something to take into account. And another knock on him that I have is he's a Big 12 DB, which means he's poorly coached. Because Big 12 doesn't care about defensive backs. If you're a defensive back and you want to succeed, do not play in the Big 12.
I'm so happy I stole one of your picks.
You did steal one of my picks, you
That's
fucker.
payback. Hell yes. You took my favorite guy, so.
Well, because he was my favorite guy. What do you want me to do?
All right, you go ahead.
All right, so my number 5 pick
Oh, don't be my guy. Don't be my guy.
is a linebacker
Ooh, okay.
from the Houston Roughnecks. His name is LaTroy Lewis, and he is out of Tennessee. So LaTroy is a really good athlete for the position. He's like a Pernell McPhee type, where he'll be an outside linebacker, but he's basically a stand-up defensive end. Basically a pure pass rusher. Don't ask him to cover anybody because he's not going to be very good at it, but he has a lot of potential. So he went to Tennessee at the height of Tennessee being awful while still getting 5-star recruits. So he is undercoached and underdeveloped as a result of going to Tennessee because he was buried behind Derek Barnett and players like that. But yeah, I really like LaTroy Lewis. He played for the Raiders most recently. I don't know if he made the actual team, but he was definitely on the preseason roster. Yeah, I like LaTroy Lewis.
Okay. So lots of defense. And
Yes.
so an offensive lineman. I'm trying to think of who you pick. Yeah, an offensive lineman. You got my favorite wide receiver, safety, linebacker. Okay. So now this is where it becomes hard for me. Who will be my last
Yes.
pick? I have 3 guys here that I'm
Yes.
considering. Who will put me over the edge to make sure I win this? Do I go for a name more people might know? Do I go for a position that hasn't been mentioned?
Your problem is you're trying to gain the admiration of the people as opposed to just building a winning team.
I'm trying to win this competition, Thomas, and I will win at all costs. So, oh man, see, do I? Ooh. Okay, so I'll tell you the positions. I got a wide receiver, I got a D tackle, and I got a tight end. Okay.
All right.
So I haven't D tackle. I don't think so. I picked PJ Locke. He's a defensive guy, so I already got a little defensive flavor in there. Otherwise, I've got two wide receivers. Why do I feel like you have another pick to make after this?
I do have another pick to make.
You said fifth earlier.
Well, oh.
You fucked me up. I still have two more picks
I'm
to
sorry.
make.
Yeah, you have two more. 'Cause
Oh,
he's
God.
he was fifth on my board because four was PJ Locke. So
Well, this changes my whole thing, and I've just spoiled my whole board. I thought I was just okay. Well, good thing I didn't say the names.
Yes.
All right, well, now let's get this guy out here. Another wide receiver who plays again for my second team, the Tampa Bay Vipers, out of the University of Wisconsin. A guy I don't know how to say his last name very well, but I assume it's Tanner McEvoy.
All right.
Is that correct? Do you think that's correct?
That's correct.
Tanner McEvoy? Oh,
That's
okay.
correct.
So McEvoy is kind of a bit of a conundrum because he came into college in many fronts. He came into college kind of a problem child. You know, he had a run-in with the law, driving and drunk under the age. But he kept pushing and he eventually earned himself a role on a good Wisconsin team. He came out of high school as a quarterback, and that's where he played his first. That's what he played his first 2 years of college, was at the quarterback position. And then once he got to Wisconsin, he became like a gadget player. So he'd split time playing quarterback, wide receiver, safety. He'd come off the edge sometimes. Like he was an all around and when he gets to the XFL, that is what we've learned this league is going to favor a lot. Even when you see with Rashard Davis being first pick, they like guys who can do a lot. This is a guy who can do a lot. So like I saw some highlights of him blocking some punts, saw some highlights of him hitting people, and so what jumps out to me is just he's the pure definition of utility, and that's what this league needs. That's what they love. So I'm just interested what kind of gadget plays Mark Trestman's going to come up with for him. The measurables, of course, are there. He's 6'6". I mean, he's a big dude. He can sub at safety. He can do, but I think he'll be doing most of his work on the offensive side of the ball. I don't see him doing much on defense, but I think they could use him on special teams for sure.
Yeah.
On offense, he can use the speed and size to be a threat at wide receiver, with the included benefit of the trick quarterbacking receiver play. He might be throwing a long bomb at some point to my boy Nick Truesdale.
Of course.
You don't know. He has good hands. He's not a body catcher, which is something you'd be scared of with a utility player who plays defense, who plays all these. You'd be scared he might be a body catcher. He's not. He has good hands.
Yeah.
He makes a point not to be a body catcher. On defense, really going to be... He's decent in coverage. He can definitely lay a hit, but not really going to be a defensive player, I don't think. If anything, it'll be... His tackling ability will be used on special teams, and his tackling ability isn't all that great in the first place. So...
Yep.
But generally, I'm just excited about Tanner McEvoy because of his potential plays and the versatility he brings. We'll see what Mark Trestman can draw up with him. I just think a talented athlete like Tanner could be very dangerous in this league.
All right. So Tanner McEvoy, for me, your positives I do agree with that he's played a multitude of positions, so he's very versatile. But also, for me at least, if you look at every position that he played, he's kind of been like, well, you're going off his potential more than what he can actually do.
Okay.
So he's not really, he doesn't really have a true position. I know he'll be a wide receiver in the XFL because that's what he's listed at. But yeah, and even though he is bigger, his size, like he doesn't really, I don't think he knows how to use it. And that can come more with just experience. But yeah. Not a bad pick.
I picked him more as like, I think he's going to be a good special teams guy.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Like he could just be really good on special teams. And they can use him in a lot of ways on special teams. They might draw up a gadget play here or there for him, because he has that benefit of being able to throw the ball, even though he's not a great passer. I watched some of those highlights. He's okay.
Yeah.
Definitely more of a running quarterback, but he can throw the ball a little bit. So, they can draw something up for him, especially with all these weird rule changes. I could just see him being utilized very well with the Vipers.
Yep.
But okay, well,
all right.
Another point for Justin. Let's move on. What's your next pick?
Sure. So my last pick in the draft will be a tight end for the New York Guardians out of Texas State named Keenan Brown.
Okay.
So Keenan Brown is an athlete for the position. Now, that being said, even though he is an athlete, that basically means he's a big wide receiver and is terrible at blocking. That is true. Don't put Keenan Brown into block or you're going to have a bad time. But he is a great mismatch against linebackers, unless your linebacker is a beast. But in the XFL, I don't think you're going to find most of those beast linebackers that are good at coverage. But so he'll be a mismatch for really any linebacker in the XFL. Once he gets the ball, he knows how to move around and make guys miss. And especially on, like, short passes, like slants or outs, something about, like, when I watch him, I see him, some people just catch the ball. This dude, like, snatches the ball out of the air and tucks it, and that is his ball, and it's not leaving him. So just some weird thing that I noticed, but I like that a lot. So, yeah, Keenan Brown.
Okay. So here's going to be me making sure I win this thing. Didn't you shit on Nick Truesdale for not being good at blocking?
I did, but 100%. But I also didn't really find a lot of Nick Truesdale anything, and also Nick Truesdale is like 30? Question mark?
Fair enough. I think he's 28.
28, whatever. But yeah.
Okay. So now I'm in my conundrum. I've got 2 players left that I can pick from.
All right.
Now I have an option. I have a tight end who almost matches up exactly with your tight end.
Really?
Right? So could I try to outbest you in the battle of tight ends to seal this victory?
That's up to you, man.
Do I take a defensive tackle, which is a position we haven't talked about yet? Now,
That's
the
up to
problem
you,
with my
man.
defensive tackle is that he's not incredibly talented. I just like him a lot.
Well, I mean, this is your draft.
And I'll give you a little hint on these guys. Both of them were former Vikings.
All right.
So, oh, this is tough for me. Okay. I gotta go with the bigger name here. I'm gonna go with my tight end, and I'm gonna out tight end you.
Okay.
All right. My last pick of this draft is gonna be Bucky Hodges, tight end for the LA Wildcats.
All right.
So he formerly played with the Vikings for 1 season. It wasn't all that great, but he came into Virginia Tech as the heir apparent to Logan Thomas. He was a quarterback coming in, and weird dynamic there. Logan Thomas came into the NFL and ended up playing tight end. So he came in as a quarterback, converted to tight end in the spring, and he had all these great measurables. He played well at that position. And what do you know? In college, tight end was what he should have been from the start. He finished at Virginia Tech as the 5th leading receiver in Virginia Tech history with 133 receptions. He had 1,747 yards and 20 receiving touchdowns, with the touchdowns ranking 3rd in Virginia Tech history. So this guy's almost, he's up there in the history books for Virginia Tech as a tight end. Coming into the draft, some analysts had him ranked up right at the top with O.J. Howard as the best tight ends in the class. But ultimately he fell all the way to the 6th round where the Vikings selected him. Only spent 1 year with the Vikings, then we got rid of him, and then he jumped around to a bunch of practice squads. Now he's in the XFL. Here's the thing with Bucky Hodges. Much like your guy, gigantic dude, 6'6", 257. Right? Large, very fast, blazing speed, super fast guy. Like, incredible play speed. When you watch his tape, he's fast as all shit. He's fast. Okay? But he can't block. Which I personally don't have too much of a problem with, because what I think the LA Wildcats are going to do with this guy is not line him up at tight end. I think this is a guy they're going to line up at wide receiver, because he can block DBs. He has the ability to block DBs. You can see it in the tape. He can block DBs. He can't block defensive linemen, but as long as you don't line him up on the line, that's cool. So after he catches the ball, he has good run after the catch ability. I like gigantic wide receivers who are fast. And this guy is that. And they're going to line him up at wide receiver, and he'll be fantastic, and he'll be better than your tight end.
All right, well, maybe,
But that's my pick.
Okay.
So should we go over it again, who our things were?
Well, let me say some things about Bucky Hodges first.
Okay.
So the reason I picked Keenan Brown over Bucky Hodges was, if you remember, I said that Keenan Brown literally snatches the ball out of the air.
Right.
Bucky Hodges, to me, is a let the ball come to him, and even then he'll drop it sometimes.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's the reason why I picked Keenan over Bucky. But yeah, to go over, again, all of my picks were at pick 1, Jazz Ferguson, the wide receiver out of Northwestern State, to the Dallas Renegades. My second pick was Dorian Johnson, who was an offensive lineman out of Pitt, to the DC Defenders. My third pick was Godwin Igwebuike, who's a safety out of Northwestern, to the Seattle Dragons. My fourth pick, since my true fourth pick was sniped from me, was LaTroy Lewis, who's a linebacker out of Tennessee for the Houston Roughnecks. And my final pick was Keenan Brown, who is a tight end out of Texas State, to the New York Guardians.
All right. And my first pick was Terrence Williams, wide receiver at Baylor University, to the St. Louis Battlehawks. Go Hawks. My number 2 pick, Eli Rogers, University of Louisville, wide receiver for the DC Defenders. Cardale and Rogers going to be hooking up all season.
Pause.
Not Jazz Ferguson wasn't my pick, sadly.
Sadly.
My third pick, PJ Locke III, fits well with his third pick selection. Another reason to vote for me. Out of University of Texas, safety, Tampa Bay Vipers. I'm liking what the Vipers are doing over there. And my next pick, Tanner McEvoy, wide receiver / utility player, Tampa Bay Vipers. Came out of the University of Wisconsin. And then my last pick, Bucky Hodges, tight end, LA Wildcats, came out of Virginia Tech. Do you want to quickly mention any other guys you have on there, just names?
Yeah, so I had 10 total dudes that I was after in case you sniped more of my picks, which you sniped 1, so I have some backup options here. So if you sniped any more picks, I would have picked, oh God, where's the number 7 there? There we go. Malachi Dupree, who's a wide receiver out of LSU, to the DC Defenders. I also would have picked Gerald Foster, who's a tackle out of Nebraska, to the Tampa Bay Vipers. An offensive tackle, I should specify. I also would have picked Tyler Palka, who's a wide receiver out of Gannon University.
Okay.
Which I don't know where the fuck that is because I didn't look it up.
Deep cuts.
To the DC Defenders. And then my last pick would have been Sebastian Tretola, who's an offensive lineman out of Arkansas, to the Houston Roughnecks.
All right. And I only had one other pick prepared because I just figured he wouldn't snipe. I didn't think you were going to snipe Jazz Ferguson. God dang it. But my only other pick would have been Curtis Cawthron, D-tackle for the Dallas Renegades. Came out of Penn State. So that's our picks. We're going to put up the poll on Monday when the show goes live. We'll let you guys vote. The right selection is me. Make sure you vote for Justin's picks. That'll be the first option out of the poll.
Of course you'll be the first option. Wait, hold on. I have the first pick. I should be the first option.
No, it's like the kick. You know, you got to kick, or you got to choose if you return. I got to choose which direction it goes.
Okay.
So that's our show. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter if you want to vote on that poll. You can follow us on Twitter at XFL Extra Point. Once again, make sure you guys send us some user questions, comments, anything you want us to talk about. Greatly appreciate it because we love talking about shit. And we're hopefully, I can't believe we haven't run out yet. There was one episode where it was rough. But
It was rough.
I can't believe we haven't run out of shit yet, but we haven't. So just send us some stuff because it's going to happen eventually. And you can send us extrapointcontact@gmail.com or you can DM us on Twitter. Thanks so much, guys. Thomas, anything to say?
Thanks so much for listening. Congrats to Reagan from at XFL Down Under on the birth of his child. Again, check him out at XFL Down Under. He's been helping us out a lot.
For sure, for sure. Love you guys who've been, supporting us. Great community. Just please keep supporting us. We'll support you. And we'll keep giving you guys shows every week. Going to discuss something with Thomas after the show, but not confirmed yet. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Bye.
Yes,